gentlemen, welcome to the show, the best AI podcast where we'll continue to grow. A world of innovation where dreams become reality. Come join the movement, let's take AI to the next level. We're breaking barriers, rewriting the code. Together we'll conquer, watch our ideas unfold. The future starts here, joining the revolution. Let's say our podcast, the ultimate solution.
Now, this is where it always flips to Kyrie for some reason. I'm not sure why it does that, but it just bounces to the first available, I think. So welcome to the podcast, everyone. This is Leland Best, your host of Best AI Podcast. I only call it that because it's my podcast, you might say, but I brought a lot of friends with me, and I bring them every week. Up above me, you should see Ross McCamey of Maverick AI Solutions, he's called it now. Looks like. Did you change the name up a little bit on me, too? And then we've got over to his side, we've got Kyrie Taylor out of Sekou Designs, and direct to my side, Jim Hankins out of Cloud Bedrock LLC. Welcome to the podcast, guys. Nice to see you again. Oh, what a week. I'll tell you all about mine in a minute. So I kind of want to touch on you guys. I haven't seen you in a while, Ross. You weren't here last week. So tell us what you've been up to for the last week in AI.
Oh, just building, man. We had a rough month to start where some of the tech wasn't working the way it was supposed to. So we had to fix a lot of that. So that's why I wasn't here last week. I was taking care of a lot of our customers. And then since then, we got it all worked out last week and just been building and developing new stuff on this end. So not getting into a whole lot of specifics on it, but kind of working some new angles on how we're going to help our new customers in different markets.
That's always cool. I'm always looking for new ways to use it. I'm actually going to be sitting down with some of the guys with our own group that Ross and I and Kyrie are involved with, because they're having trouble with their AI component. So they wanted me to sit down with them and see if we can help make it work better for them and things like that and apply it correctly. So, Kyrie, what about you? I mean, you were here last week, but I know you're always a busy guy. So, I mean, it sounds like you're having a little trouble over there sometimes. Just tell us, what are some of the frustrations you guys are running into? Let us know. You know, if it's don't have to make it, deplete and tell people who these people are, but give a little insight.
Yeah, I'll say
the struggles that we deal with.
I'll say that what's usually interesting. I look at my business the way I look at my relationship with my wife to a certain extent. Mm-hmm. Oftentimes, it's my fault.
So, I get it.
Or it's what I'm pushing out, right? Like, so my wife is very good about reflecting whatever energy she's getting from me back to me. So I take that from a business standpoint and I look at it and I say, okay, where did I drop the ball in either setting expectation, things like that. So that's just a little bit of that. And for one of my clients where they're trying to get over the goal line and they're like, hey, this is what we want to do. And I could clearly see that their expectation wasn't looking at the original statement of work. So I kind of had to have our come to Jesus moment and talk through a couple of things of what the expectation was and things like that. But, nothing that, can't be resolved with some TLC.
Well, that's why I brought it up.
That's it. I've been...
Scope creep's a real thing, and we see it a lot. And this is an area that it could be a big factor in, because it's a time consumption, and it's something that a lot of us don't get compensated for when scope creep happens like that. And when you see people come into this space and think, I want AI, I want it now, I need it now, or whatever they're hearing, that's what they want. Yeah. So they come to somebody and they have a high expectation, like you said. They expect AI to do everything for them, or whatever it might be, is that expectation. And when we don't deliver that, what do? We get flack, we get heat, we get all this, it's not working like it's supposed to. You said it would do this, you said it would do that. Well, yeah, it does, but it's still in its infancy. So we still need to express there are issues, there are problems that we run into every day with AI, and we can't just let that go. We can't just say that it's flawless, because it's not. So Ross, if you can just give an insight, I'm not asking you to expose your clients or anything like that, but give me an idea, some of the issues that you run into now and then with that.
Yeah, so I actually have a specific client. I'm not going to name them, but they've been with me for about 3 months, and we've been working on this build, and we've had it done since month one. And then when they get in, I set, here's how you do X, Y, and Z, gave them standards on how to send emails. With cold emailing, you can't send more than 300 emails a day, typically without getting into trouble. His VA blasts out over 1,000 the first day. And so they end up getting their little slap on the wrist from Google and breaks the system. Simultaneously, the next day, as I'm going through trying to get everything revamped, the email system breaks to where it's not sending out functional emails. So we have to fix that on the back end. Simultaneously, they get denied for their 10 DLC, so they can't send texts. So then we go through on our end and we start building backup systems for the email that went down. So we end up doing a double build for this customer. They don't understand everything that's going on. They're just frustrated that it doesn't work. Sure. Meanwhile, we're working our tails off, putting in tons of hours on this. We're actually losing money on the job, but that's fine. We're building out what we promised. Yep. And so we get all that done. We get redundant systems for the email, texting, calling, everything built out for them. End up using Twilio, which is a backup SMS provider, get them approved within 48 hours. That integration isn't working with the system, so then we have to work with the devs to get that integration working on the back end. This is the one I was working with last week. So we finally got it all figured out, got everything fixed, and we actually have multiple redundant systems on the back end for them. But in that time, they're like, hey, when can we expect a functioning system and when should we talk about refunds? Meanwhile, I'm like, dude, we've lost money on this. We spent all the money on this build. Stick with us, bear with us, and we got it done. And now I actually have a meeting with them directly after this to get them using the system. So these are the kind of things that happen on the back end that they're frustrated the system doesn't work, but they didn't have to go through any of the stress of everything that we had to function to get the system functioning.
And this has been an ongoing thing for a few years now. This isn't the first time that we've had to endeavor dealing with a frustrated client that's maybe not getting the deliverables they were expecting. And Jim, I want to kind of transition to you in that regard, because you and I had a conversation the other day about that 1 to 5% issue. So do you want to touch on that a little bit and kind of give the insight that I'm going for, which is that, are we ready to rely on AI to deliver that front end to our customers in 100% mode right now, or not?
Right. And I'll have to look up the gentleman who I shared the video on. Maybe you can do that while I'm chatting about it, so that we get good credit on it. I came across a video that was basically talking about a problem in the industry as it relates to services that are interactive. It didn't sound like in Ross's case it was in this realm, but things like chat bots and things where it's directly in the path of the conversation with the customer, and that I guess per him the industry error rate is somewhere between 1 and 5% to be expected. With AI just doing bad, incorrect stuff. No matter you can manipulate it to a certain extent, but much of it is out of your control. And he had apparently launched a product and sold like a template. I think it was an N8N template, to solve all these problems. And he just decided, I'm refunding everybody because it's not ready. But he on that same token, he said what is working and what businesses are more apt to purchase are services that are more asynchronous, that you do have the option to have failover paths that happen behind the scenes that nobody sees, that you can deal with, whether it's routing to a different model or those kind of things, and latency isn't an issue, and where you can have human oversight and whatever it is you need to do to process. So in his mind, that's where the bulk of the profitable work is for agencies now, the safe profitable work where you're not running into as many issues, right? So yeah, it kind of resonated with me because I was I think about like SOS messages and all that, all the reasoning that I had to do back in the day when I was in that see something in a critical path, I get worried.
We're breaking up. Somebody's phone was getting there. No, and I just wanted to make that point. And I know exactly who you're talking about. I can't think of his name. It's either Justin. He looks just like Tom Cruise, the guy on his covers for his videos. He's literally with the shades on and the smile. He is Tom Cruise lookalike. I've actually purchased some of his make automations as well. He's a really great provider when it comes to showing people how to do these things. He runs a couple of really big websites. So he's kind of just taking his spare time to put in the extra effort and show people, hey, I've done this. I've made millions doing this, and he has. And I think his insight means a lot, because I know Ross and I have struggled with a lot of this front end direct customer relations stuff that we do a lot of, which is go talk to the widget, have the phone call, answer with the AI. That type of thing can get frustrating. And we do have people that are like, well, I thought this thing was like ready to go, and it stops talking, or it hangs up, or it doesn't do the thing that it was supposed to do that you asked it to do on the phone, or it can't schedule an appointment properly. That can be a deterrent. That can keep someone from ever coming to your business again. And that can be a fault of the entire process that we're involved in right now. Is do we go headstrong with that type of development now, or do we wait for a little better result before we start pushing that button on people? Because I think we are asking for trouble in some cases. We have to watch. And what you're saying, Jim, is stick with the asynchronous. Look at those processes that we can manage without the headache of, how come it's not working? I don't see it working. I don't see it working. They won't see it break. We'll see it break. We can monitor it. But then we fix it before they even notice that it was broke, in a sense. And that's really what we should be doing, I think, right now, and watching for those failures and figuring out how to troubleshoot and error correct right now while we're witnessing these failures take place, before we really just unleash, the Kraken and let it go.
I put Nick's link to that video in the chat there. I don't know if you could
Nick,
put it out
that's
there.
it. Nick, thank you. Yeah, why don't we take a look in the chat here real quick? We have a separate.
It was like AI agents are great, but ...
Yeah, let's put that. Yeah. And I don't know, I'm going to put that in the chat feed, because I do have the ability to do that. And if you are watching us live, you're probably seeing us either on YouTube at Best AI TV, on my Facebook profile itself, because for some reason Riverside's not connecting to my page properly right now, and we need more viewers, honestly, at the Best AI Podcast Facebook page in order to broadcast live. So if you do head over there and want to subscribe, please do so. Ring the bell on YouTube. And if you're watching from LinkedIn, this is our third broadcast on LinkedIn now. We are out there. Most of us you can find on LinkedIn as well. And we're happy to talk to you guys about AI services if you need us to. So if you're out there trolling LinkedIn looking for help, give us a call at any time and let us know what you need. So here's the link. I'm going to drop that in the chat. This should show up in the live feed on all streams, so hopefully it will. We'll verify that afterwards. All right, and that's Nick. Really great guy if you ever want to follow some of his stuff. So let's move on, and then we'll wrap this thing up for today. So I got to tell you my heck of a hell story. So here's something you never want to do, okay? If you're out, maybe you're catching the N8N office hours feed right now as well at noon, because they are broadcasting live at the same time we are right now. N8N is one of those platforms we showed off last week with my all-in-one, you might say, inbox zero plan that I put together. Well, about 2 days after that, I was looking to redesign the Docker container that I had built with the AI starter kit from N8N. Lo and behold, we all know Docker stores its data virtually in a VR. I mean, you're sitting there basically, or in a VM. So you're running a virtual machine that has software running, and everything is just there. It's not being stored, and it's backed up as it reboots when you upgrade. So we have that ability, but there's really no way to just store the N8N data. I found out what a -v does real fast. And what it does is it removes the N8N volume from your system. So all of my stuff is gone. Everything I've ever produced for creds, now I've saved all my JSON files, so all my workflows are intact. There's some stuff I built on the side, little stuff that just I was throwing together that I never completed, but those are gone. I will never have those back. So what that means for me and all of you is you get to see me start fresh. I'll be starting over from a new Docker container, show you how to use Jim software, which we'll talk about in a second, for the CribOps app to go in and help us build the Docker compose file, the YAML file that we need to build the Docker containers. And then we'll start to build workflows from there. So Jim, I'll segue into you on that. You want to tell us where you're at right now on CribOps? Because that's going to be one of the first things I show off people as we start to do some more YouTube videos.
Yeah. So yeah, we finally got the kind of cross-platform version of Docker.
You're breaking up.
Docker-based application.
You're breaking up a little bit, Jim. Hold on a second.
Am I? Yeah.
It's just a flaw in the network. You're good now.
Okay.
Good. Go ahead.
Yeah. So it's a cross-platform version of CribOps. We deploy it as a Docker container. We give you an easy button. That if you're on Mac or Windows or Linux, you have an installer that generates the Docker Compose for you. So it's like one command to hit setup, and then Docker Compose up, and you're up and running. So yeah, and in fact, a little early release out there. As I went through that to put the easy button to install, CribOps, I decided, well, this would be neat to actually be able to do more than just CribOps for the setup. So we're actually going to release a version that will allow you to install N8N and maybe set it up in a way that sets you up for better success.
Well, and that's why,
because one of the things I always try to impress on people is that the Docker Compose method of running things is for development. It's not for production use. So at a minimum, we should use the Docker Swarm, Docker and Swarm mode, which will enable you to do some things that you can't do with Docker Compose to make it a little bit more resilient. And then maybe I should also do a video on backing up your volumes and those kind of things. So I'll do that. I'll do that for my friends out there in the world.
Well, I figured out what I need to do. It was just the fact that I was backing up the volumes as I updated everything, and I've had my JSONs, and I never realized how I was going to consider the creds. I was like, well, that's going to be tricky because I don't know where they're stored. I wasn't sure where it was putting the cred file, and now I get what it's doing.
I'm not 100%. Yeah, on N8N, I do know they encrypt creds in the database, but they probably put the keys probably on the volume.
Yeah, what happens if you, and actually if N8N cannot find the volume it was expecting to find the first time it was encrypted to the software, it will create a new one. And when it does so, it creates a new encryption key. So it will not be able to access any older file from before after that. So you have to remember that. So that's where we're going to be looking into how they, in the toolkit, were backing up those data files to do the upgrades instantly. And then all it does is it copies out a data directory into two separate folders as a backup folder for the workflows and the creds in two separate folders. And then that information gets brought back in when the container reboots, and then it's ready to go. So we just need to do that same process for hard storage so that we have a reliable backup of whatever we're creating on N8N.
As you share that experience, I'm glad that a choice I made when I built CribOps was the encryption keys because we also support putting creds into CribOps. Like, for example, if you want to connect two N8N nodes together, you can create an N8N node and then put the API key in there. We encrypt that, but the keys are Amazon KMS keys. And so the actual key is in the cloud. So if you ever blow up your machine, all you have to do is just get your creds reassociated, and you'll still have access to decrypt your data. So it's not on some Docker container you forgot about. So
true that. All right, Ross, you brought some stuff to the table today, and then we're going to let Curry retake it from there. I'm going to wrap it up with a little law that goes into play, or is coming into play as we move ahead this next quarter. So, Ross, what do you got? Oh, you're muted, buddy. Somehow. Not sure how.
I was typing, so I muted it so you guys didn't have to hear typing. And then I forgot to unmute. So it kind of goes hand in hand with the AI agents that we're working with. And wanted to talk about Claude just released their MCP. It's a protocol that allows AI applications like language models to add new tool functionalities while they're running. You don't have to have any pre-built or pre-programmed tools out there ahead of time. They can run it at the in real time. So I had GPT give me a breakdown of what this means so that it's easy to understand. Basically, it's flexibility at runtime. Traditional APIs require developers to integrate each tool during the application's design phase. In contrast, MCP enables users to add tools during application's runtime, offering greater flexibility. So what you want to do is think of MCP as a system that lets you plug in a gadget to your smartphone while it's on, instantly giving it new features. Traditional APIs are like having to install new hardware or software updates before you can use new features. So this is really cool what they're doing out there, allowing the AI to do this. And they've made it actually an open kind of forum where they're allowing different developers to put their own server access out there. Cloudflare's put their server out there. And there's going to be a lot more tools that added to that, so that all you have to do is say, Claude, do X, Y, and Z. So developers on the back end, we can put our AI in the front, put the Claude MCP in the middle, and then have it access different servers on the back end to add those tools instead of having to build the entire automation out. So that should help this.
And they have a whole open source repository of the MCP servers available on that link over there. So if you just search Anthropic, introducing the Model Context Protocol, or MCP, which is a new way to design agents. Basically, it's a new format. It's not using RAG, it's not using KEG, so it's a whole different process. And I think Anthropic's really going to scale a whole new technology out of this. This isn't something like what OpenAI is doing. It's similar in nature, but it's a whole different process. So, and that's the thing I think is so amazing. We're not even seeing the true growth yet. Again, we're still in pre-training. So each time we train something new and see a result, it seems like there's a new model or a new framework or a new feature set being added to the AI LLM. So, Kyrie, what do you got? Anything that you can throw up on the table? If not, I've got a few things I can bring up here. I know you'd mentioned robotics. You wanted to kind of bring up the concept because we haven't talked about it much yet, but I kind of do a little bit. See what's going on.
Yeah, I'll comment on the whole MCP thing. I think because we have so many things coming out, there's always a new thing. It's easy to think that it's just another AI tool. I think of it more of like the missing link, right? It's like it's the thing that turns disconnected data into seamless, intelligent ecosystems. So the future of AI isn't just smarter models; it's models that truly understand and integrate with everything else, right? Like, and I think that's what MCP kind of gives us to a certain extent. But yeah, as far as the robotic stuff, man, it's interesting. I find this so interesting because I grew up on the Jetsons and everybody's always looking for Rosie. And I'm like, robotics have been around forever, as has AI, contrary to what a lot of people think. But I think it's interesting. So with what does it look like when I find it very interesting to look into what does it look like when AI powers robotics. And there's essentially two different camps right now that I'm seeing. There's the camp that's like the usual of, you know, years past where there's calculations being happened, they're programming them. But recently I saw something, and I can't remember the name of the company, but there's a company that's developing robotics that learn the way humans learn by watching. So instead of programming a robotic to follow a set amount of rules, it's just like you would teach a child. This is how you throw the ball. This is how, so it watches you iteratively over and over and over again, and then it attempts to do that. I think that's a big deal because it's super remedial right now, as would any infant, right, be. But I think it's interesting because when you iterate over that process, it just gets better and better and better. And then you connect that to a swarm or a network, and you've got all these different things, or stuff like this, where you're seeing them pick up eggs and things like that. Imagine just being able to go, you have your autonomous home aid, and you say, this is how I want you to sweep the floor. This is how I want you to take the garbage out. This is so instead of having to program those things in and making sure that they're literally watching you do it or watching somebody else do it, and then they just execute. I think that's the next stage. So I'm very interested in that. We'll see what happens in the next few years here. It's been such an advancement in the last 6 months, let alone the last couple of years. But yeah, I just find that topic.
Look at that hand. Look at that hand. I mean, those types of advancements that I'm seeing in robotics are what are blowing my mind right now. The manipulation of the robotic hardware and the fluidity of it, being able to take hydraulics and get it to a point where it can perceive the pressure and amount of power that it's utilizing within its components and be able to be sensitive to that. that's a huge factor. That has made the increase in the robotic abilities so much greater. And even this, to be able to walk up a hill without falling
100%.
down is incredible to me. And now they're literally running across side terrain, up and down rocks and everything else. And it's just crazy what they've been able to do with robotics lately. So thanks for that.
And the traditional heat things that we're seeing right here with the hydraulic systems is one thing. There's a whole nother subset. There's a company, I can't remember if the name of the company is Helix or not, but they're using air pressure to create, essentially mimic muscle fiber contractions. So instead of a bunch of hydraulics, it's literally a bunch of tubes. It reminds me of Westworld. If anybody's watched that Westworld show on HBO, it reminds me of, like, if you look at how they do it, it looks just like the beginning stages of those, those NPCs, I guess we'll call them. But yeah, there's so many different advancements, so many different ways of people trying to change how the fundamental.
Here's Helix's robot right here.
That's Helix.
So this is similar to a Tesla, obviously. And again, there's only 3 or 4 primary manufacturers right now in the space that are doing big robots, like the stand-up humanoid type robots. But there are several other types of, like, the dog units. Those things are crazy. The ones on wheels that are like blazing trails all through terrains, and they're literally mounting hardware on them. They're doing all kinds of other things, and there are obviously military implications with a lot of this type of hardware as well. So, and we've seen that in some of the war that's going on in Ukraine with the drones flying around, Koreans and all this other stuff. It's crazy what we have to think about with what it's capable of, I guess, when we really come down to it. Is, do we want it to be fully autonomous? I don't know. Just say not something I'm ready to just give up on, but I don't know if I'm ready to just unleash them and let them do what they want. So with regards to what Ross brought up, OpenAI has brought another thing to the table, and we'll kind of wrap it up with that and the law I was talking about. But do go download Jim's app, cribops.com. Make sure you try it out. He's giving away a free version of it for people to just install it and get a look at it and see what you guys can do with it right up front. You'll at least be able to see the inside of the workings. And you can you tell them, Jim, what they do get with the free version?
So the free version is just to be able to install AnyDen. So unfortunately, we have it's a cloud hosted service, so we don't have the pockets to be able to handle infinite bandwidth for that. But the client that we use, the CLI, that is kind of the easy button to install CribOps and license it. I figured, well, besides just having it be a license tool and a tool to generate a Docker Compose file for CribOps, it'd be kind of handy to give it to the world for people that want to get AnyDen, set up, with an easy button, right?
So it gives you your Docker Compose, basically, to help structure your container.
And I do it in such a way that's a little bit more secure than what you typically see out there. So secrets and and putting some random generated passwords and things, so people aren't out there with the default, database creds.
Now, what if someone like me who's going to put it on a domain that has to use Cloudflare? Is that something that
I could probably add some extra little. I thought about putting like a Cloudflare API thing. You'd have to put in your API key, and then it could go off and generate that for you as well. That may be something I do. The first revision, I'll just get the local thing going.
Or if you already had it, like, you could just put in your domain or something so that it would finish the YAML file for the HTTPS cred to give you that tunnel so that you can go through the back end. That'd be cool. All right. Well, let us know how that works out. Just for me to close, I'm going to let you guys go look up OpenAI's Responses AI. I'll just tell you a little bit about it, some of the capabilities it does have, and I haven't been able to really find much on it. You might have to go directly to OpenAI, though a lot of people have already started doing videos on it. It's not like they've produced a video from OpenAI that you can watch per se. There is a lot of context on it, so maybe just go catch a creator's video and see what they have to say about how to use it. It includes a live web search for real-time, up-to-date data. It gives file search and document analysis of PDFs, text files, and more. There are local computer operations and computational tasks that are available through the software. And its use cases are primarily for enhanced AI chatbots, automated workflows that trigger actions based on conversations. So we're accessing the backend API, not just like we were before, but we're getting to make tool calls like Ross was mentioning on the other platform on Anthropic. So there are some real world applications for business in that. But something we talked about last night was Andy and Bill's law. Are you familiar with that, Jim? You should be. Mm-hmm. If anyone out there is not familiar with Andy and Bill's law, it goes back quite a ways. Jim, what do you know about it as far as what's your?
As I remember, it had to do with the Bill Gates was involved in this one, wasn't he?
It is. It's between. There's a saying that goes, "What Andy giveth, Bill taketh away."
Bill,
okay. Yeah. Andy Grove was the former CEO of Intel, and Bill, everybody knows, of course, the former CEO of Microsoft. Well, it seemed whenever Intel was able to build like their next great chipset or the power advancements that they'd done to the chip, Bill always had a way to just wipe out. I'm going to take it all.
Wipe out all the gains.
Okay, make me something better than that, because it's not enough. Yeah. Gamers have done this all their lives. It's like the software is always much more advanced than the hardware in gaming. It's just the way it is. There's always much more video capability to the software than the hardware can ever deliver. And it's always like 2, 3, 4 years later, the software that was developed in like 2000 is just now seeing this huge influx of awesome video production inside the software. So you're like, oh, this is cool. But that is all based on the fact that the more you build hardware, there's always going to be software to fill that gap. And there's never enough power to really please the software in the end. There's always something needed by the software. And we see that in AI happening all over again. It's just, there's something that we need that we keep lacking each time we go to process. And that's why we have these huge server farms, these GPU server farms trying to do the job.
So many Chrome tabs. That's what it is. So many Chrome tabs.
Now, I wanted to mention something else before we go. If you're experiencing a big lag in traffic, almost near DDoS attacks, we have some people to blame. And that's OpenAI, Anthropic, and Google. And it's all about their leech bots, let's call them. They're the bots that are out there attacking all the websites, trying to gain data to train their LLMs. And there are people starting to complain because they're seeing their sites literally slowed to the effect. These people that have like thousands of pages of website in their corporation are getting their traffic so heavily induced with these bots that it's slowing down their systems and it's costing them big time. So I think you're going to see a lot of complaints in the next few months of way too many bots, and we'll just see where that goes. Guys, you got anything to close with? I'll leave that to the two guys up top. If you want to grab it, just grab the mic and we'll roll out. Give me something to go on. What do you got, Ross? Anything? Where are you going this week? Oh, he's muted. Unmute yourself, boy. You were typing again. I muted you that time.
You muted me that time. I was like, I am not. That light is green. No, we're just building, man. Taking care of our customers, making sure everything is running, and building out some new things that we're going to be announcing in the next couple of weeks, probably the beginning of April.
Cool. Well, let's get together. I've got a lot of things coming out too. We will be announcing the opening one way or another of our Inbox Zero. We don't have a name for it. I'm sure that's taken somewhere else, but we will have that available once we rebuild. So check out Best AI TV. If you want to find out more about what we do on the Best AI podcast, head over to bestai.tv, sign in the little form, let us know you're interested. You'll receive a notification every Wednesday morning that we're live that day at noon. So stop by next Wednesday, 12 Eastern for another episode, and we'll see you then. Guys, have a great week. We appreciate you being here. As always, your time is as important as it is mine. So we thank you. We really do. And we'll see you next time. Take care. Got to just get to the media part. This is where it always just messes. Oh, you know what I wanted to do? I wanted to show you guys something. This is a feature, Jim, you're going to want to know about. I've been playing with Riverside here, and we actually have the ability. So for all you folks, if you want to go check out how we build automations, visit n8n.io, and there should be a link in this. If you're watching the video, you should be able to click on it. Some of the other ones we do, we use make.com for some of the backend automation. So a lot of you folks probably aren't familiar with these softwares that we're using that are available for you to play with and use on a sometimes free basis. Another one is Late Node. So if you want to head over to Late Node, another low code automation platform that we use, but be sure to always check us out. We are recording and live off Riverside FM. So if you want to go over and record some of your own free videos, go check them out at Riverside FM. All right, guys, we're going. I'm going to see if media works. Down to the bottom, we get to the extra. Nope, it's not going to work, guys.
Ross, sing a song.
We'll see you next time.
You don't want that.
Take care.
Let the sparks ignite. AI in action, reaching new heights. Love and business blending into one. AI fusion, the journey's just begun.